There is nothing erotic about this. This game is a never-ending cavalcade of mundane psychosexual horror that affects far too many American men. Pac-Man 2: The New Adventures.
Pac-Man. That's me. Pac-Man.
Oh! I must have those power pellets!
This game. A game that represents the enemy of modern man. A game that crackles with psychosexual energy while simultaneously being devoid of anything arousing. You know, besides the obvious. A game that is like a snail crawling along the edge of a razor blade and surviving. The horror. The horror. Take a look at this cover, people. Look at it. Do I need to say anything, or do I just need to laugh maniacally like a man staring into the eyes of Shub Nagorath? Pac-Man is evidently being forced against his will into a hang glider, raw trepidation gripping his innards as he does something that he hates and despises merely because he is that desperate in seeking an end to his midlife crisis. Below him, memories of happier days taunt him, for he can never get them back. Well, it's not worse than... Actually, screw it. This is the nadir of Pac-Man. Let's do this. Oh look, Pac-Man's giving a thumbs up. I'm sure glad he's optimistic about this. So, this is the game. You will notice immediately that you don't actually control Pac-Man. You control an omniscient viewer with a slingshot, who can either shoot things or just point and scream, "Look, look! Look, look!" Pac-Man, for his part, will just bumble around crashing into things, forcing you to yell and or shoot him in the face to get him to do things. It's a little bit like a game about abusive parenting, if said abusive parent were a faceless, bodiless presence with a slingshot. You know, if this game were made nowadays in black and white, maybe a little classical music, and with about 25% more pretension, you could market this as an art game. You can also cram power pellets into Pac-Man's mouth when he's attacked by the ghosts. They grow on trees, which I just find fascinating. The idea that there are these fruits that give you superpowers that just grow on a tree. And with that tutorial, Mrs. Pac-Man gives us our first mission. Look at Pac-Man's face here. You think I was joking? No. Pac-Man is literally written as an emasculated suburban husband. The plot of the game is triggered when Mrs. Pac-Man basically tells you that she won't put out unless you get the baby some milk. Adventure ho! That ball-breaking bitch making me do stupid errands. I hate her so much I should have married Pinky the Ghost. Pac-Man walks out of his house and then immediately ignores my commands, walking to the left. Out of spite, I wake up the mean bulldog. Pac-Man is so afraid of the domestic dog that he runs screaming like a hysterical tit. Out of annoyance for Pac-Man's idiocy, Mustache Man slams the door in his face. Pac-Man, clearly depressed at his repeated failures, walks right to the stock farm. And yes, it certainly is a stock farm. Look at how cliched this is. Anyway, after you murder the farmer by dropping a bale of hay on him, Pac-Man gloats before getting knocked the F out by a cow. Serves you right, you little bastard. You get the milk bottle by baiting a crow into attacking Pac-Man as he spazzes out in a comical fashion, having to humiliate himself so he can bring home the bacon, or the milk rather. It seems oddly fitting somehow. And now we come to the one part of the game that I genuinely like and have modeled aspects of my life upon. There are literally 3 people on the planet who will get this joke, and I wrote this for them specifically. Upon completing the mission, you see the ghost panicking, and then the villain, who is this blue girl. Christ, this is a franchise that invented Mesmeron the Pellet Wizard, and somehow that's not the lamest thing to ever come out of it. She also implies that the milk business was her doing. I always knew grocery shopping was a conspiracy. Who the hell is Lucy? Damn fanfiction writers ruining the Pac-Man canon with their OCs. Anyway, Pac-Man, still incredibly sexually frustrated, is convinced to climb up a mountain to pick some Edelweiss in the distant hopes of getting some. Pac-Man sees a sign of danger and then immediately runs away. Our hero. But you can make him go past that sign by shooting him in the face.
Oh, I told you no one can climb a rope. It's physically impossible.
With the utmost trepidation, Pac-Man climbs into the minecart. Oh man, I don't want to do this. After that, it appears you come to an impasse. You need to open up a gate, the machine is faulty, and you can't go back on the minecart. Well, time to quit. No, of course not. The way to solve this is to keep looking at the machine until Pac-Man kicks it to make it start. Yeah, just bang your head against the wall until it goes through. That's the lesson I took away from this game. Oh, and by the way, the whole minecart scene is entirely pointless. You have to climb up the rope to progress to the end of the mission. Pac-Man only does that when he's in a good mood, which the game doesn't tell you. God, I hate this game. It's here that you get the hang glider that the cover promises. As to why Pac-Man isn't in a state of blind terror here, I don't know. There's the look of terror, just in time for his painful death. This episode is longer than my usual game reviews. That's because this dreadful game has an actual linear narrative, and as such I felt like I needed to beat it. At the same time, I didn't make this into multiple videos because every second I play this game makes me feel like I'm staring into some horrible alternate future for myself. Oh, I got the flower. Pac-Man is shoved into a convenient hole in the ground and is dropped in front of the train station. Pac-Man is clearly upset at how illogical this is and goes home to drink heavily. Yes, Pac-Man, the life of domestic poultry is a sad one indeed. Go home, please. Lucy is apparently Pac Jr.'s girlfriend. Pac-Man's face says it all. The blue girl berates the ghost, does a brief blackface performance, and level 3 begins. Don't remind me I'm playing this. Like so many middle-aged men in 2017, Pac-Man resorts to pharmaceutical enhancement to regain the lost vigor of youth. On the way to finding the missing guitar, you can help Lucy move the couch. Pac-Man is about as enthused as I get whenever I have an opportunity to show a woman how much stronger I am than her. My name is Lester Pac-Man. This is my neighborhood. This is my street. This is my life. I am 42 years old, and in less than a year, I will be dead. Afterwards, Pac-Man goes to the arcade to relive his past glories. Forgotten dreams and vigor of youth coalescing around him like a yellow, spherical George Babbitt. Going to the city, the first thing Pac-Man does is kill a painter. Seriously, this would kill people. It's not just wacky slapstick. After angering a balloon salesman to the point where he sticks a helium pump in Pac-Man's mouth, I can't believe I said that, Pac-Man goes to the roof where he rummages around in garbage cans for a game cartridge. I can't believe I said that. Then he goes to a factory where he is torn asunder by industrial machinery. I think I need to lay down for a bit. Of course, if you abuse Pac-Man enough, both physically and verbally, he'll make it on through the factory. Finding nothing in there that he can use, Pac-Man exits and meets this guy. And boy, I'm excited to abuse somebody else. Shoot him in the face about 20,000 times, and eventually he'll turn into ghosts and give you the guitar. Whatever, time for Pac-Man Jr. I spent a lot of time in the arcades in this game. Probably because the arcade has actual games instead of just horrific tales of abuse and midlife crisis. The final level begins and Pac-Man finally gets to watch some damn TV. But then, we're told that the ghosts are stealing gum from the children. Well, I've officially stopped caring, and so has Namco apparently. I know this game was meant for kids, but this is banal. So go back to the factory, hit 451 in that order, and face the final boss. Okay, first of all, wow, that is a terrible choice of font. Well, to be fair, if I were to see one of those, I would certainly be using 3 exclamation marks. Anyway, if you go into the fight with 3 power pellets, you literally cannot lose. Just shoot the gum monster in the face until he dies. Not bloody likely. So that's the game. Mrs. Pac-Man finally puts out after Pac-Man has been beat down, run down, dragged out, used, abused, smoozed, oozed, and on a few occasions contemplated suicide. My thoughts? Pac-Man might be interested in a paternity test because from what I've seen, Pac Jr. and Baby Pac may not be Pac-Man's kids. Don't you ever talk to me or my wife's son ever again. Find another game. I'm Larson Halleck and I'm going to weep for the state of modern masculinity.